$3.7 billion for Nippon Sheet Glass. I love it. Apollo finally realizes Japan is the ultimate playground for distressed industrials.
Distressed? They're pivoting hard into renewables. That's a growth play, Nate, not a rescue mission.
Fair enough. But speaking of rescue missions, are we actually buying these Estée Lauder and Puig merger rumors?
Only if you think a company in a fragile turnaround should strap a massive Spanish fragrance house to its back.
Smells like an absolute disaster. Let's look at the tape. The rundown.
2 acquisitions in under a week. Southern Glazers just bought Eagle Rock's Colorado operations right after swallowing Clare Rose.
The booze roll-up never sleeps. You have to respect the momentum. They're building an absolute fortress in distribution.
I respect the momentum, but I pity the back office. Integrating 2 completely different regional distribution networks in the same fiscal quarter is a nightmare.
Speaking of aggressive, Gilead is dropping $2 billion on Ouro Medicines.
Up to $2 billion. I read the release. The upfront cash is way lower. The rest is entirely tied to clinical milestones for their T-cell engager program.
Still a massive multi-billion-dollar bet on autoimmune diseases. T-cell therapies are the new gold rush. Everyone's trying to find the next Humira.
Sure, but Ouro is clinical stage. Gilead is basically buying a very expensive lottery ticket and hoping it pays off in phase 3.
Fair. If you want a safer bet, look at healthcare services. Olympus Partners is cashing out of EyeSouth's retina business, selling it to Cencora for $1.1 billion.
Carving out just the retina business, that's incredibly specific.
Only private equity could look at a regional eye care clinic and say, let's just sell the back of the eyeball.
It's a clean exit for Olympus, though, and Cencora gets to bolt it onto their pharmaceutical solutions platform.
Okay, speaking of massive platforms, the gossip is confirmed. Estée Lauder is in active merger talks with Puig.
This is a terrible idea.
Oh, come on, it creates an absolute global juggernaut in premium fragrances. Puig brings Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera. It's a perfect portfolio fit.
Portfolio fit means nothing if the house is on fire. Estée Lauder is in the middle of a highly fragile corporate turnaround. You don't attempt a massive cross-border integration when you're still trying to fix your own margins. The execution risk is off the charts.
You're underestimating the power of scale. You buy Puig, you instantly dominate the high-end perfume market. You figure out the plumbing later.
Figure out the plumbing later. Spoken like a true former banker who never had to actually run a company.
Guilty as charged. I just like the strategic vision.
Well, if you want aggressive strategic vision, you should see what Apollo's doing in Japan.
$3.7 billion for a glass manufacturer?
Nippon Sheet Glass, and it's Apollo's biggest Japanese buyout to date. The big one.
$3.7 billion for a glass company. I have to admit, when I saw the ticker cross my screen, I thought I woke up in 1998.
Right? Apollo buying Nippon Sheet Glass feels incredibly old economy at first glance. It is literally windows and windshields.
But it is their biggest private equity deal in Japan ever. You don't drop $3.7 billion on a whim. To me, this is classic Apollo. They are looking at the weak yen, they see cheap financing, and they are buying a legacy industrial giant at a massive discount. It is a pure macro play.
See, I read the actual segment breakdowns on this one, and I totally disagree. This has almost nothing to do with the yen.
Oh, come on. Every single cross-border Japan deal right now is a currency play. You can't ignore the exchange rate.
I'm not ignoring it, but that is just the icing. Look at what Nippon actually manufactures. Yes, they do automotive glass, but their highest margin, fastest growing segment is the ultra-clear conductive glass used in solar panels. Apollo isn't buying a legacy window maker. They are buying a critical bottleneck in the renewable energy supply chain.
Okay, that is actually a really smart angle. So you think they strip out the solar glass business and eventually flip it to a strategic buyer?
Exactly. The automotive side is just a stable cash cow. It pays the interest on the buyout debt. The venture-like growth multiple they want is entirely locked up in the renewables division.
Dress up a clean tech play in a boring industrial trench coat. I love it. But you can't ignore the execution risk here. Japanese corporate culture does not historically mesh well with aggressive New York private equity tactics. You can't just walk into Tokyo and start slashing headcount to boost EBITDA.
Which is why Apollo has been quietly poaching local corporate talent for the last 2 years. I checked their regional leadership roster. They aren't sending a bunch of 20-something spreadsheet jockeys from Manhattan. They have built a serious local presence.
You and your footnotes?
Someone has to read them, Nate.
Fair, but $3.7 billion is still a massive check for a sector with notoriously brutal capital expenditure requirements. Furnaces are not cheap to run. It takes a lot of windshields to pay back that kind of leverage.
It does. But if the solar panel market keeps expanding the way government mandates project, the math actually works out beautifully.
So we are saying Apollo saw right through the legacy business model?
Please tell me you did not just make a glass pun.
I am an ex-banker, Maya. Bad puns are legally mandated in our severance packages.
Unbelievable. Well, while Apollo plays with glass, I want to look at a potential merger that might actually shatter under its own weight.
Oh, you mean the rumors about Estée Lauder and Puig? Because Wall Street is definitely buzzing about that one. Voices. I read that analyst note calling an Estée Lauder and Puig tie-up an absolute juggernaut in premium fragrances. And honestly, they are not wrong. Puig owns the luxury scent space right now.
Juggernaut is a very strong word, Nate. You skipped right over the second half of that quote. The analyst literally flagged massive execution risks. You cannot ignore that Estée Lauder is in the middle of a very fragile corporate turnaround.
Turnarounds are exactly when you need a shiny new asset to change the narrative. You buy growth when your core is stalling out.
Oh, come on. That is such a classic banker take. Buy a Spanish fragrance powerhouse to distract from your internal operating margins. Integrating a massive cross-border deal while your house is on fire is just asking for third-degree burns.
Fair, but if they pull it off, they dominate the luxury beauty aisles for the next decade.
Big if. I need to see the proposed premium before I crown them king of the perfume counter.
Speaking of massive premiums, industry watchers are going absolutely crazy over Gilead dropping a rumored $2 billion on Ouro Medicines.
Yes, the T-cell engager bet. Commentators are calling it the next major frontier for treating autoimmune diseases.
$2 billion for a clinical stage program is a huge swing. They are basically treating Ouro like an AI startup.
Well, pharma is the original tech unicorn, but you know what actually feels like a tech mystery novel right now? Perfect Corp.
Oh, the non-binding take-private proposal.
Exactly. They hastily formed a special committee to evaluate it, but the buyers are completely anonymous. I was digging through their filings this morning looking for a single breadcrumb.
You love a good ghost buyer. Let me guess, you think it is a private equity consortium?
We will see. I am watching the SEC feeds closely tomorrow to see who is actually writing that check.
While you sit around refreshing Edgar, we need to talk about Apollo dropping $3.7 billion on Japanese glass. Spill the tea. I'm telling you, if Estée Lauder actually pulls off a merger with Puig, it is the ultimate banker flex. You are talking about creating an absolute juggernaut in premium fragrances.
It is the ultimate banker delusion, Nate. Their internal turnaround is barely holding together with duct tape right now.
But look at the sheer scale. Puig owns the high-end market right now.
I am looking at the execution risk. You do not buy a massive Spanish fragrance powerhouse when your own house is on fire. Who is running this integration? Half their executive suite is entirely focused on just fixing the core business.
Okay, yes, the timing is slightly chaotic.
Slightly chaotic? It is like deciding to remodel your kitchen while the roof is actively caving in. Market analysts are right to be terrified.
See, this is where you lack the vision. If a generational asset like Puig is willing to talk, you take the meeting. You buy those premium margins and you figure out the corporate plumbing later.
Spoken like a true guy who never had to actually merge two global supply chains.
Fair hit. I just write the pitch deck and collect the fee. But seriously, Wall Street is entirely too focused on the short-term pain here.
Wall Street is focused on reality. I need to see the actual math on how they finance this before I buy the narrative.
Well, speaking of needing to see the math, what is going on over at Perfect Corp?
Oh, the mysterious non-binding going private proposal.
Hastily forming a special committee for a ghost bidder. I love a blind date take private. Who do you think it is?
Honestly, the way they rushed that committee announcement makes me think it is an insider or a massive private equity play trying to catch them at a discount.
The drama is real. We are watching them closely for tomorrow to see if any actual names drop in the SEC filings.
We are. But before we get to tomorrow, we need to talk about Apollo dropping $3.7 billion on a glass manufacturer in Japan. Tomorrow's radar.
I'm refreshing Edgar first thing tomorrow just to see who is actually behind this Perfect Corp take private offer.
A mysterious, non-binding proposal. My favorite kind of vaporware. I bet it's just management trying to flush out a real buyer.
Oh, come on, you don't hastily form a special committee if there isn't real money on the table. Someone sees a bargain.
We'll see when the SEC filings drop. I'll believe it when I see the term sheet. Meanwhile, I'm watching Pelican acquisition and Greenland exploration. That incredibly complex energy combination is supposed to officially close tomorrow.
Right, that one has been a long time coming. Speaking of complex combinations, are we actually buying these Estée Lauder and Puig merger rumors?
A fragile corporate turnaround trying to swallow a Spanish fragrance juggernaut? No, the execution risk is staggering.
Exactly. It's like trying to remodel your kitchen while your house is on fire. Honestly, I'm much more focused on Gilead dropping up to $2 billion on Ouro Medicines.
Now that's a strategically sound bet. T-cell therapies for autoimmune diseases are the absolute next frontier. But we can argue about Gilead's valuation math tomorrow.